So I'm going to be talking a little bit today about the Doyon Artisan Ovens. So they come in 4 different sizes. We have 6-inch, 8-inch, 10-inch, or 12-inch. Here I have a 6-inch deck and 2 8-inch decks. An 8-inch deck will be standard if not otherwise specified. But the reason you want, say, a 6-inch deck is if you're doing something like pizzas or anything on a sheet pan, croissants, pies, cookies, anything like that. An 8-inch deck would be your standard, so that would be good for any type of artisan breads, your ciabattas, your baguettes, any type of loaf, anything like that. 10 inches for your taller products, 12 inches is for even if you're doing things in very large loaf pans, maybe like a babka, something along those lines. The general goal is that you want at least 1.5 inches between your product and the top heating element of the oven. So the big advantage of having a deck oven is being able to put product directly on the 1-inch thick refractory stone decks. So these stone decks are going to retain heat incredibly well. They're actually going to take an hour to heat up, and that's because of the heat retention that it will provide. They won't lose heat. The temperature recovery is incredible. If you keep this door open, it's going to remain at the same temperature. That's why if you're doing something fast like pizzas, you don't have to worry about constantly opening and closing the door. These stones will retain that heat. The major advantage to putting product directly on top of the stone deck, say artisan breads, is that it's actually going to lead to bigger loaf expansion. So what happens when you put bread or a product directly on top of the deck is that it rapidly increases the surface temperature, more so than if it was on a sheet pan or in a convection oven. So that rapidly excites all of the air pockets and all of the gases that are inside of the bread dough, and it's actually going to lead to a larger expansion by putting it directly on top of the deck. The powerful steam injection system that's also built inside of these ovens is also going to produce a superior crust on your product. So when you put the steam into the cavity, it's going to sit on top of the product, and then that's going to do something called gelatinize the starches, and it's actually going to turn it later to help caramelize the sugars that are on top of the bread, and thus producing your crust. It's also going to prevent the crust from forming on the bread a little bit by having a wet surface, so you're actually going to have a larger loaf as well because of that reason. So now I'm going to move on a little bit to the control of the artisan oven. So up here you have your vent. So it is a manual vent. You physically have to lift it and place it down whenever you need it. I generally do that for the last third of the baking if I'm baking something like an artisan bread on the decks. And then to close it, you simply push it backwards. So the unique thing about this oven is that it has a top element control. So I can place that at whatever temperature I need. I have a bottom temperature control, and then I also have a front percentage. I'll go over that in a little bit. So the great thing about that is, say I'm baking something like a pie, a custard, or even a pizza, something where I want the bottom to be crusty or crispy, but I don't want the top to get overcooked. I have controllability here where I can do a smaller temperature on the top or a larger temperature on the bottom to help retain that crispiness and that crust and that crustiness, but still not overbake anything that is on the top of the actual product itself. So in order to do that, I would press my temperature button, and then I would use my up and down arrows to adjust the temperature. So what I like to suggest to people is if I'm baking a product at 375 in a normal, just regular stainless steel deck oven, that is the temperature that I would put on the top here. And then on the bottom here, because the product is directly going onto the deck, I usually lower the temperature by about 50 degrees. And now the front percentage. So the great thing about the front percentage is that this door right here is glass, and glass is not very well insulated. Also, you're constantly closing and opening the door, or even if you're not constantly, you still are opening and closing the door. So what this front percentage does is it allows you to give a greater percentage of heat to the front of the oven to compensate for this glass door and for the opening and closing the door. So I generally like to keep mine set at a 12, and if you wanted to change it, you would select this button, press up or down, select the button again, press up or down, and then hit it again. And now you've controlled your front percentage. And one was the front percentage for the top of the oven, and the other was the front percentage for the bottom of the oven. So if you needed to adjust the timer on the oven, you would simply press the time button. You would go up and down, and that would just set your time. It would not actually start it. It's just saying what time when you start baking that you would actually like to have on the timer. To physically start and stop the timer, you would press the start and stop button located here, and you will know that it is working when the green light has appeared here and when the blinking dot appears next to the 12. Let's go ahead and stop my timer. This right here would be the steam feature. And this button right here is indicating that yes, I would like to have steam. I am currently using steam. Now you can turn it off just to save some energy if you're not planning on using steam for your particular product that you're using. So if I wanted to turn it off, I would simply press it, and the fact that it is no light here means that it is not on. So this other button here, I'm sure you noticed it blinking, is indicating that the steam generator is not ready to go. When your oven heats up, it also needs time to heat up the steam box to produce that very powerful burst of steam that we desire. So when this light no longer is blinking is when it is ready to go. And when it is ready to go, you simply hold the button down for as long as you would like steam. So 2 to 3 seconds is going to be more than enough, a very powerful burst of steam for whatever product you plan on doing. And then it is going to take about another 6 to 8 minutes to come back up to temperature if you needed to steam again for any reason. Though for things like bread, you are really only going to need that one powerful burst of steam to really get the desired results that you're looking for. This button right here is just for a light in the oven, and it will just turn the light on and off in the cavity itself. This here would be eco mode, and what the eco mode is going to do is that because this oven takes about an hour to heat up, if you don't plan on using it for a couple hours but you don't want to completely shut the oven off, you can hit the eco mode and it'll just help conserve a little bit of energy for your bakery, restaurant, etc. This right here is a venting feature which is not compatible with this oven currently, so it will not do anything. If you press it, it is just a null and void button. And then right here we have our power button. So this is how you turn the oven off and consequentially on. So there's also a great feature where if you hold the power button down, it's going to give you a time. So that is a startup timer. So this will actually go all the way up to 99 hours. And so what this is great for is because the oven takes an hour to heat up, if you would like to set it to come on when you come in the morning so that you do not have to show up an hour early just to heat up your oven, then you can do so. And when you release, if you do not change the temperature, it will automatically just start counting down and start up. And if you do lose power for any reason, when the power comes back on, it'll automatically start at whatever the last time was when it left off. And now I'm going to show you a video of just loading and unloading product from one of the decks.